Imagine a master key that can unlock the front door of 80,000 enterprises, government agencies, and critical networks worldwide. No alarms, no broken windows, just a silent, digital intrusion that went unnoticed for years until the keys were suddenly dropped onto the dark web for anyone to grab. This is not the plot of a techno-thriller, it is the reality of one of the most widespread perimeter breaches in cybersecurity history, an event that exposed the fragile foundations of corporate security and left the digital world bleeding from the inside out. At its core, this crisis revolved around a devastating vulnerability affecting Fortinet SSL-VPN devices, a phenomenon the security community watched with growing dread as it transformed into a massive corporate exposure. To understand what happened, we must understand the role these specific devices play. Fortinet is a global titan in cybersecurity, and their devices act as the digital fortresses guarding the perimeters of countless organizations. When a remote worker connects to their company's internal network, they use a virtual private network, or VPN, which acts as a secure, encrypted tunnel. The Fortinet device stands at the gate of this tunnel, verifying identities and keeping intruders out. But what happens when the guard at the gate is compromised? The vulnerability turned these trusted gatekeepers into liabilities, allowing attackers to bypass the perimeter defense entirely and step directly into the heart of private networks. The story began quietly, years before the public explosion of the breach. In 2018, security researchers discovered a critical flaw in the software running these gatekeepers, technically classified as a directory traversal vulnerability. In simple terms, it was a programming oversight that allowed an external user to trick the device into revealing system files it was supposed to protect. A malicious actor didn't need highly advanced tools or stolen administrative passwords, they simply had to send a specially crafted web request to the device. The system, confused by the request, would willingly hand over its internal session logs. These logs contained a catastrophic prize: the active usernames and cleartext passwords of every employee currently connected to the network. When Fortinet realized the severity of the flaw, they acted quickly, releasing a security patch in May 2019 to close the loophole. In a perfect world, the story would end there. But the digital ecosystem is far from perfect. While the fix was available, thousands of organizations failed to implement it. Some lacked the specialized IT staff to manage updates, others feared that a system reboot would cause costly downtime, and many simply assumed they were too small to be targeted. For nearly 2 years, a silent countdown was ticking. Cybercriminal groups and sophisticated state-sponsored actors realized that thousands of these digital fortresses were still standing with their gates unlocked. They began launching massive, automated internet scans, quietly harvesting credentials from every unpatched Fortinet device they could find, building a colossal ledger of stolen access keys. The climax of this chronological chain reaction arrived in September 2021. The digital underworld woke up to a bombshell announcement on a notorious hacking forum. A prominent threat actor, closely tied to aggressive ransomware syndicates like the Groove operation, published a massive, unrestricted data dump. The file contained the exact IP addresses, network configurations, and plain text credentials for approximately 87,000 Fortinet SSL-VPN devices spread across the globe. Within minutes, the ledger was downloaded thousands of times. The keys to 80,000 organizations were now freely available to any low-level cybercriminal, corporate spy, or rogue state actor with an internet connection. The impact of this exposure was immediate and chaotic. The affected organizations spanned every imaginable sector: major financial institutions, critical manufacturing plants, healthcare networks, and sensitive government offices across North America, Europe, and Asia. Because the leaked data contained legitimate, working usernames and passwords, attackers didn't need to break into these networks, they simply logged in. They blended in with normal employee traffic, bypassing traditional firewalls completely unnoticed. Once inside, they deployed devastating ransomware strains, locking down operations, stealing proprietary data, and demanding millions of dollars in extortion payments. The breach shattered the illusion that a company's internal network is inherently safe as long as there is a strong perimeter firewall. The reason Fortinet devices were so relentlessly targeted comes down to basic digital real estate. During the global shift to remote work, the demand for secure connectivity skyrocketed, making corporate VPNs the single most important entry point for any enterprise. Attackers knew that targeting individual employee laptops was inefficient and time-consuming. By targeting the central VPN gateway instead, they could compromise an entire corporation in a single strike. It was the ultimate leverage point, offering maximum return for minimum effort. The global reaction to the leak was a mixture of panic and unprecedented mobilization. Government cybersecurity agencies, including the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency in the United States and its international counterparts, issued urgent, high-alert warnings. They mandated that all government systems immediately audit their networks, apply the long-neglected patches, and force mandatory password resets across their entire workforces. Fortinet aggressively reached out to its customer base, deploying automated alerts and repeatedly publishing guidance, reminding the world that a security patch is entirely useless if an organization leaves it sitting on a shelf. Cybersecurity experts scrambled to help overwhelmed IT teams hunt for signs of compromise, because simply installing the patch after the leak was no longer enough. The attackers already had the keys, and changing the locks was the only way to stop them. The ultimate lesson of this crisis is a harsh truth about modern digital infrastructure. Human behavior and systemic neglect are often far more dangerous than the most sophisticated cyber weapons. The vulnerability itself was simple to exploit, and the fix had been available for over 2 years before the catastrophic leak occurred. The catastrophe did not happen because the defenders were outsmarted by a brilliant technological breakthrough. It happened because organizations failed at basic security hygiene. It proved that perimeter defense is a fragile illusion if it is not constantly maintained, monitored, and updated. Moving forward, the strategy for both large corporations and individual users must shift fundamentally. Organizations can no longer rely on a castle and moat mentality where everything inside the network is trusted and everything outside is feared. This event accelerated the adoption of a security model known as Zero Trust, which operates on a simple principle: never trust, always verify. Under this model, even if an attacker steals a legitimate username and password, they are continuously challenged to prove their identity as they move through different parts of the network. Furthermore, implementing multi-factor authentication is no longer a luxury, it is an absolute necessity. Had the affected organizations forced users to verify their logins via a secondary device or authenticator app, the leaked text passwords would have been virtually useless to the attackers. For individuals and businesses alike, the crisis serves as a stark, permanent reminder that in the digital age, survival requires relentless vigilance, immediate patching, and the sobering understanding that the gates to the fortress are only as strong as the care we take to keep them locked. To truly grasp the scale of this disaster, we have to look at what happened in the weeks and months immediately following that catastrophic data dump. Inside network operations centers and cybersecurity firms worldwide, the atmosphere shifted from routine monitoring to absolute code red panic. Security analysts weren't just fighting an invisible enemy, they were racing against an automated clock. As the list of 87,000 exposed credentials circulated through the dark web, specialized scanning bots deployed by rival hacking syndicates began pinging these IP addresses simultaneously. It was a digital gold rush, where the commodity wasn't cryptocurrency or precious metals, but unfettered access to corporate infrastructure. For the affected organizations, the nightmare manifested in what security experts call the ghost in the machine. Imagine an IT administrator arriving at work, looking at their server logs, and seeing everything operating normally. The connections look legitimate because the attackers are using the exact, correct passwords of real employees. But beneath the surface, a silent colonization was taking place. Once inside, the intruders did not immediately launch their attacks. They understood that loud, sudden movements would trigger security alerts. Instead, they practiced patience. They quietly created shadow administrative accounts, altered network permissions, and mapped out where the most sensitive data was stored. This meant that even if a company finally discovered the leak, applied the Fortinet patch, and forced their employees to change their passwords, the attackers had already built their own secret backdoors into the system. The original key was no longer even necessary. This structural infiltration laid the perfect groundwork for the explosive rise of ransomware as a-service syndicates. In the past, executing a sophisticated cyber attack required a highly skilled team of hackers capable of writing custom code and discovering new software flaws. The Fortinet credential leak completely democratized corporate espionage. A new class of cybercriminals, known as initial access brokers, took the leaked data, verified which credentials still worked, and sold that guaranteed access to the highest bidder on underground digital auctions.